this is Elizabeth and Elton Brewington, and we just heard from Richard Morden, and that was amazing. And we'll make sure that you get a copy of the video. Thank you, Richard, for giving us those nuggets and very valuable information, and for being the sponsor for this session. And I now have in the studio Dr. J, who I had the privilege and honor to have met earlier, and he really impressed me, and I'm hoping to bring him back next month so we can get more time with him because he had a really busy schedule. So thank you for fitting us into that schedule. And over to you, Dr. J. Tell us about yourself and give us some tips and advice.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for the rest of the speakers as well too for your insight and your knowledge. Richard, that was great insight to kind of link some of the physical and psychological well-being there. And my name is Dr. Jay Trimbadia. I'm a board certified clinical psychologist working in a large health system. I've been helping patients of mine with the interplay of their physical health and their psychological health, along with their social well-being as well too, and looking at the interplay and how that affects them from a physical, biological standpoint with their physical health, but also how that translates into their psychological well-being. I also am a consultant for high performers in organizations and teams, helping those individuals tackle stress and burnout using evidence-based tools such as communication techniques, stress management techniques, and other exercises to help them go through and tackle stress and eventually burnout as well too. And I think that this topic of emotional intelligence kind of hits home as well too. In that, listening to the other speakers, one of the things that stood out to me was the idea of emotional intelligence first intrinsically, in looking at ourselves internally first, being aware and insightful of where we are in that space, whether it's with communication with a partner or with a team or with colleagues or friends or whatnot. We kind of first have to look at where we are that day, right, and understand where we're sitting there, and what we're bringing to the table from a verbal, nonverbal standpoint as well too. And the other part, like we mentioned, like other speakers have mentioned, is also looking at the other person, listening to what they're having to say. And the one thing that I tell my patients all the time, will tell them all the time, is I'm going to put myself in your shoes. I'm going to meet you where you are. And I think that when it comes to communication, partnerships, teams, large organizations, leadership, it all starts with meeting people where they are. And I think that the research shows that in emotional intelligence, emotional query starts with understanding and listening. I know that a lot of folks that I work with, they want to fix things right away, jump right in to tackle the problem or to have a rebuttal or argument. But first, I think the key is to listen to what's going on with this person, kind of understanding their and checking out their nonverbal cues, where they are today, how do they get there? Um, Before doing anything, I believe that that is major, to kind of sit there with them, to jump in their shoes for that day. They might be a high performer, right? Richard talked a little bit about athletes. We have athletes that are high performers and are making shots and scoring touchdowns and making goals. But on certain days, they might not be that person. And we as helpers in the helping profession, whether it be clinicians or counselors, we want to meet them where they are, along with partners and family members and community members. We want to meet that person where they are. So I think that awareness of oneself and inside of oneself, but also awareness and being where they are, is going to be the starting point for anything. And whether that's leadership, partnerships, spousal relationships, romantic relationships, and so forth. That also embodies empathy, right? Trying to put yourself in their shoes to understand where they're coming from first. Again, with our listening ears first, before we're ready to kind of fire back with some tips, techniques, and action items and so forth. I know a lot of us want to do that, not just as thought leaders and as professionals, but people in our daily lives as well too, right? You have a coworker coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I have this going on." We're ready to just before they even finish their sentence, we're ready to say A, B, and C, and that happens in relationships often as well too, and in partnerships. We're ready to fire off instead of listening to where they are. Kind of before you're ready to fix, let's start listening. I think that's a bigger thing. Um, and talking about emotional intelligence, one thing that sticks out to me, it is a community kind of thing, right? Whether you're in large groups, smaller groups, or just one-on-one, the emotional intelligence and the practice that we have for emotional intelligence is going to be key to everything there. Recognizing your patterns, how do you function? How do you interact and so forth? And it's never too late to understand where how you interact and where the challenges and barriers lie and what are some of your strengths, right? So people come to you for some reason and understanding those strengths, but understanding also how that other person may react. And I think that Richard was talking about that with love languages and with communication as well too. And I second that significantly. One of the other things that stands out to me is check-in circles, right? You have that at different job sites. You have a check-in in the morning on Thursdays, or you have a check-in every morning at 7:30 or something like that. One of the pieces that I've learned from the research is also having these frequent check-ins with your partner. And that could be just a Wednesday at 8 p.m. when you both know that you don't have anything going on, that's in the schedule, and kind of having it where that's you can allot 10-15 minute time, whatever it may be, but not so much of like, how are you doing? You're good? Okay, I'm good. All right, let's move on. I gotta mow the lawn tomorrow. We gotta go pick up the dog food tomorrow and so forth. It's more of kind of connecting with each other. So doing those things as well too. Um, Along with all of that, kind of jumping back to what Richard said as well, was how do we mitigate stress when we're experiencing some of these things in our conversations? How do we tackle stress for us first before we go into a stressful conversation or a difficult challenging moment with a partner or a spouse or something like that? And that's exactly why I created these digital wellness cards to help individuals tackle stress, but also increase happiness. I was getting a lot of information from people in the community, people in my community, but also patients. Like, man, I wish I had a pocket psychologist sometimes. You know, Dr. T, I wish that you were with me when I was going into that interview, or I had that difficult conversation I needed to have with my spouse about A, B, and C. Well, now I've created these digital cards where people can keep them on their phones and they can use those in stressful situations, whether that's going into talking to a spouse or a social situation that you've never been in before, a new job social, right? You start a job on Monday and then Friday you're meeting everybody, or just a social situation in general. So I have these cards that you can just whip out right there in real time, and they'll help you from quick breathing exercises to affirmations, and these are all evidence based to help you quickly kind of regroup yourself, recenter yourself, and regulate some of your emotions. On the other hand, these cards are also good for daily habits, and couples and individuals in relationships or anybody can practice these on a daily basis, whether that's taking a walk without your phone, or dancing to a little music, or working on some of these sleep techniques that are in the cards and stress management techniques. So I wanted to point that out because some of the things that I hear the most when it comes to relationships, partnerships, coworkers, whatever it may be, is that I'm stressed, you're stressed, and now that conversation that we're having is underneath a cloud of stress. And I think that if we tackle that first, tackle that piece, we're able to have concise, comprehensive, and effective conversation to tackle these barriers that we may have in relationships. So I appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited about this conversation. Thank you again, Elizabeth, for having me on.
Thank you so much, Dr. J. That was so great. I love the card idea and the affirmations, and especially in this time of age, nobody should be suffering. We always talk about being on the bright side, and I thought that was so delightful. I was so delightful to have you on our show. And I'm looking forward to having you back next month as well with our veterans and our business owners. So
I can.
thank you for that. Yes, go ahead.
And I can put the card link down below in the chat as well too,
Yes,
just so our group and everybody else can check them out as well too. I'm excited about next month as well too. Thank you.
yes. So everybody, please put your links in the chat. I know Andrea's inviting everybody to her zillion women. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Zillion her, and then everybody's offering some great things today. And I'll make sure that it's available in the video comment description, so that if you're watching it on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever you watch this video, that you can also be part of our special gift giving as well. So thank you so much, and we look forward to having you.